Let's talk about the potential ADC primaries. Okay, you have people who are contending for the uh, president's VP slot. So you have Atiku Abubakar, you have Rotimi Amechi, you have Peter Obi, Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso, and you have El Rufai in the wings. We really don't know what his interests are yet, but he is very pro ADC. So, like, what's that going to look like? Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso just recently moved into the ADC, and there has been a lot of noise about the Obi Kwakwanso movement. Pretty much from the Obedience, because the Obedience came with their principal, Peter Obi. Now, Atiku Abubakar, from my understanding, he was the one that got this party together, brought all the stakeholders that didn't support what was going on in PDP, brought everybody into ADC, and the disgruntled members from APC went into PDP. So they all have coming together to now become a formidable opposition against President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu. Now, based on how everything was going, based on my previous analysis, I said that ADC is for Atiku Abubakar. He was one that brought everybody together, mobilized everybody together to become, so that he becomes the presidential candidate of this party. And I'm sure a lot of resources, a lot of time, a lot of goodwill was put into this. Now, a lot of these people came into the party with their own political ambitions and their own personal interests. Peter Obi included, Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso included, El Rufai included, Rotimi Amici included, um, Tambuwa included. So you now have all these stakeholders here. And in the ADC convention, you had this Obi Kwakwanso kind of push in terms of they weren't really campaigning, but it was definitely obvious what some of the people that were there were pushing. Now, Atiku Abubakar came into an interview in Arise Television saying that the only political party that in their constitution institutionalized zoning is the People's Democratic Party. That any other party can bring in any political contender, whether they be from the north or from the south, ADC included. And he has every right as a Nigerian citizen to run for office. So this is what is going on right now. And he was like, if anybody else wins, he would support that candidate. But it's just like he is saying that he has every right to run. And, it's now being said by Rabiu Musa Kwakwanso that Atiku doesn't have organic movement. And if you notice that when Atiku moved to ADC, his base is Adamawa State. The stakeholders in Adamawa State did not move to ADC, at least not all of them. So you now have that put into play. So he's saying that he has every right to run. He's going to run in the primaries and do his best to win. And Obi Kwakwanso is they are going to run. Amici is going to run, and Tambuwa is likely going to run as well. So let's see how this plays out. But I know it is PDP that institutionalized the whole zoning piece, but in a will of fairness, is just better that a person from the north run 8 years than a person from the south run 8 years. And in the south, it can be interchangeable. You can have southwest, southeast, south. So those three geopolitical zones can kind of slug it out. So as well as the north, you have the northeast, the northwest, and the north central. So looking at that dynamic, that's pretty much an unspoken rule in terms of running for office. Like in Lagos State, there's an unspoken rule that you have a Christian governor or Muslim deputy, a Muslim governor, a Christian deputy. So it's like not spoken really. You know, President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu did the whole Muslim ticket because, he needed the support from the north. And if a northerner wasn't on the ticket, he likely may not have gotten the support he got from the north. So it was a more of a calculative move on his part because he is a southerner and he is a Muslim. So that kind of is like, if we're gonna have a northerner, yeah, not they are northern Christians, yes, but the people that pull votes are northern Muslims. And northern Christians now have to really push and say, hey, we're here and we're just as viable and we're just as important, and really push and pull votes so that, there will be a force to be reckoned with. But I feel like that was why President Tinubu did the Muslim ticket. Back to ADC, the way I see it as an analyst looking at it is that if Atiku gets the ticket, I feel like ADC will become just as fractured as PDP fractured when he got the ticket. That's just what I think would happen. It's like he has put this ADC together and everybody had their own interests. And if he now comes in and says, okay, I'm the presidential candidate, I feel like a lot of supporters that they have galvanized will fall out. That is just what I think would happen with Atiku Abubakar. As much as I empathize with him and I say, hey, he should run because this is his last time, because right now he's 79 years old, he's getting older. As you can see in the United States, President Joe Biden, he became president in his 80s and he started having, health problems, and it began to show in how he was running his administration. And President Donald Trump, he also is in his 80s, and there are some things beginning to show concerning his health. So this is the last time that Atiku Abubakar can run, in terms of making it happen into his political career. So I can empathize with that. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword here. If he runs and wins the primaries in ADC, President Tinubu is just going to win and finish his 8 years. If Obi and Kwakwanso actually win the primaries, they will galvanize support. But is it enough to beat President Asiwaju Bola Ahmed Tinubu? In my opinion, and everybody has theirs, I don't think so. Obedience might disagree with me. Kwakwansias may disagree with me, and they have every right to. But just as I'm seeing the chess pieces, I still think that Tinubu will not by a large margin as he would if Atiku gets the ticket. That's just what I think. So I just wish ADC the best of luck. In addition to that, there are a bunch of court cases, and you have the big old date of April the 22nd. I will have my ears to the ground on April 22nd in terms of the future and the fate of ADC. Will INEC finally delist them and say they are not a viable political party to even be put on the ballot? That could be something that INEC, APC, and the president can pull because of a lot of the technical issues that are going on within the infrastructure of the African Democratic Congress. So if that is another thing to play, that's another thing that's going to be put in the ring. But if Atiku Abubakar does win the primaries, the margin that he would lose in 2027 will be a lot wider than if Obi Kwakwaso, if they win. It won't be as wide as if Atiku Abubakar would win the primaries. It's just what I think. Everybody has their different opinions, but let me know in the comments, okay?